Good morning. 54th video in this series, which is the state of the school, and I'm dealing with travel, my travels. And I paused the last video to tell of an episode on Mount Mckinley. I'm not going to do that. That's not my purpose here. I'm not going to do that very much. I just kind of want my viewers to know the travels that were there, which I access all the time in my mind, but which you'll see later you can access too soon once I start actually filming. All right, now after Jane and I went to Europe and came back, I had thought before I went that was going to be it, that would be the end of my travels because our income was going to change so much. But by this time our daughter was about 14 years old maybe, and I decided that really that was such an educational experience to go to Europe that I should take her like I took Jane. I didn't know how I was going to afford it, but one way or another I thought I should take her to Europe. She should see it. There's a little bit of the idea of the grand tour, I think, that used to exist. I don't know too much about it, but part of a young person's upbringing was to take the grand tour in Europe. She surprised me in saying, well, yeah, sounds like fun, Dad, but I'd rather go with friends than go with you. That was a bit of a shock. So I got thinking about it, and there was a woman who had been taking groups of high school kids, middle school and high school kids, to Europe for quite a while. She was a Latin French teacher, but she was going to stop. She was doing it with a tour. At that time there were about 3 companies that did this a lot. They would organize student tours. There's so many companies like that take tours, basically a tour bus load to Europe for some cause or other. Anyway, I put a tour together. I decided, okay, and we took a lot of time to do it. I was real systematic about it, and by the time I was done, I had a woman that was traveling with me. They would get to go for free. I would get to go for free. I was called counselor, not guide, and we had about 16 or 18 of us, and what a trip that was. I could take a long time to tell just about the first 2 days of that trip, but that's not my purpose here. But in general, these trips, and I did about 6 for about the next 8 years or so. I did this almost yearly, and typically they would go. I would take them from, say, London, start in London to get their sea legs in Europe, and then go across Europe diagonally to, say, Paris or Germany. This one, the first one, it started in Germany, and then across the Alps down to Venice, Rome. They didn't all include, they weren't all this big, and then back from Rome to, I think that's when we would go to Paris, and then fly home from Paris or fly home from London. But basically it was that kind of a route from the northwest down to the southeast on that line, and then back, trying to give them as much exposure to as much of Europe as I could. English, German, Italian, French. Didn't take them to Spain. Anyway, I did that, and I'll say a little bit more about those trips as a bunch before I'll go on. But as I suggested before, I'm not going to talk about them individually. Bye for now.